Hello everybody and welcome in this new video. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the files, about the with statement and about try except instruction. And of course, as always, two projects will be given at the end of the video just to help you understand more and to practice more all of these notions. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we will try to do is to create files and to manage the files, just to be able to, for example, store data in the hard disk or maybe retrieve the data from the hard disk. Okay, so now we will try to make a text. So the first thing we will do is to make a variable, for example, file1, okay, equal open, and we will have some two arguments, right? The first argument here we will put the path. So we can put, for example, the absolute path if we want to store the file in somewhere else in another destination, right? So if you want to just put the file in the same destination as the Python file, you can just give it a name and this is all, right? And the second argument actually can help you to specify what kind of operation you want to do. You want to write, you want to read, or the two of them at the same time. So let's try to make a file, for example, called file1.txt. So you can choose whatever extension you want, and here we want to write a file. Okay, so by this instruction actually you will be able to make a file. So if this file already exists in the hard disk, you will overwrite it. Okay, so all the data that existed and the text will be deleted and you will not be able to retrieve it again. Okay, so make sure that when you put a name for your file and you write W here, make sure that this file doesn't exist or doesn't have any precious data. Okay, right, so here we have file1 dot, for example, write, and we will write hello world. Okay, and finally we will have just to close the file, right? So now, as you can see, when we will start the program, we will have a file here called file1 and we have hello world inside the file, right? We can, for example, write something else, for example, for I in range 20, and we will write, for example, hello world dot d new line percentage I, right? And now we will, okay, so now we will override what we had in the last file. So we had hello world without any number here, there is nothing now, so it is deleted, and we write it all of those 20 lines. Okay, so this is about how we can write a file. So if you want to just to save the data that existed in the last file, you have just to change W by A, which means append. So we will append this into the existing data of the file. Okay, so let's start, and as you can see here, so this is the last data and this is the new data. Okay, so this is about how we can write data on files. So how about reading, for example, from the text? So to read from the text, we need to print file1 dot read, but as you can see, we will have a problem. It will just tell you that the file is not readable. Okay, because A mean we will just write on the file, not the two operations at the same time. So if we want to read and write at the same time, we have to add a plus here, right? We have to add a plus, as you can see, just to say that okay, we want to read and we want to write at the same time. This can be also for the W. Okay, so let's try to read the file. Okay, so now the program will not, of course, crash, but the problem, we didn't read anything. So the file is of course not empty, but we didn't we didn't display anything. So the problem here, because we write something on the text, so after writing something on the text, the file actually how can I say that? So the file actually is pointing on the last character of what he wrote. For example, I wrote hello world and I passed to the new line, so I will be pointing at this character, right, at this level. So this is why when I try to read, I'm reading all the things that are after the new line, and there is nothing after the new line, so this is why I cannot read anything. So to avoid this problem, we have to point on the character number 0, right? So here file1.seek, and we will put 0 to point on the character number 0. Okay, so the character number 0 actually is this character, and after writing all of these things, actually normally your code is pointing here, so you are not displaying anything. So let's try with this configuration right now, and as you can see, we have no problem right now. So this is the first character, as I said, and this is the second character. So the second character, the index is 1. As you will see, H will not be displayed this time. We will start by A. Okay. So this is about how we can read and write at the same time. So if you wanna just read, you can put R. Okay, that means read. And when we will start, the program will crash. Okay. So something that you have not to miss or not to forget is the file close. You have to make sure all the time that you close your files after using them, because if you don't close the files, maybe all the data that you tried to write on the file might not be saved correctly on the file. Okay, so try always to make file close when you finish using the text. But there is another way, very simple than that, and you will not be able to use this. Even if you forget it, it doesn't matter. So we will see this right now. Okay, so if you don't want to write the file close, you will just start to work with with. So with open file1.text, okay, as w plus as file1, right, file1 dot read. Okay, so now there is no need to put file close because you are using with right now. Okay, so for example, I missed the plus. Let's see what happened. So of course, as you know, it will just tell you not readable and your program will crash. So is there an instruction that can help us to avoid crashing the program and give us another way to and complete the program? Okay, so we will try to make or to run this part of code. If it is not run correctly, we will do something else. Okay, instead of crashing the program. Okay, because the program will collapse each time you have a problem. But this is very bad. For example, you are in need in such an instruction that can help you to avoid that and to make an alternative instead of just making an end for the program. So this is what we will see for now. So as you can see here, when we run the program, it will crash because there is W here and we are trying to read the text. So we can make try. Okay, try this part of code. If there is a problem, then accept, right, and print for example, problem, right? And finally, for example, print continue. Okay, so now this part of code will not be executed well because we have a problem in this line, right? So we will go to the exception block of code, we will print this, and we will print this. So finally will be executed all the time, and whatever result we had above, for example, this block of code has been executed correctly or not, finally will be executed as well. Nice. So this is an exception. Just to avoid crashing the program, we will make something else, right? Okay, so this is about the try except instruction. So now we will try to talk a little bit about the try except instruction, but not very deeply because there are many things that we need to cover, but not now, because we need to talk a little bit about the classes, about the oriented object programming and things like that in the next videos. So for example, you made x equal y plus 6. What we will have? Okay, for example, you made this. Okay, so now when we start the program, it will tell you this is a name error, right? So we can make, for example, try and just put this here and make an except, right? Print problem. So it will give us problem, but this except actually is an absolute exception. So if we want to just, for example, make exception for this kind of errors, which are name errors, we can just specify it here, name error, right? So if we give, for example, another kind of errors like x equal true plus 4. So this is a type error and not name error. So the program doesn't enter to this exception, so it crashed, right? So we can make, for example, another exception for this kind type error exception and print problem of type, and here problem of name. Problem of type, it will give us problem of name. Okay, so this is about the try exception, and we will just end our video in this point, but before we will just talk a little bit about the file handling. So we have said in this video, write, read, write, append, okay, and the plus just to make the reading and the writing at the same time. But there are other things, for example, create a new export to create a new file. So if the file is already exists, the operation files. So this is a kind of a security, for example, because write, it will directly override the file without any prior message or prior alarm, okay? But with the X you will be able to see that, okay, there is something with the same name that exists on the same folder, so you have to make attention just to not lose the data. There is also T. This is a default mode, it open in text mode, okay, and B, which mean binary mode, okay. We will talk about this in next videos. So after, as I said, we have 2 projects, so try to complete the last program So the lesson 3 project 1, they can gather students information by editing a code to store this data in the hard disk, right? So each time you run the program, make sure you edit the new students below the existing ones. Okay, don't override the file, okay, and do as we mentioned in the course. So for the second project, you have to complete the last program as well. So lesson 3 project 2, they can display students information by editing a code to retrieve this data from the hard disk, because in the last project we used the data directly because the 2 programs were at the same Python file. So now you have just to make the first program in a file and the second program in another file, and the main will be the file. So you will store the data in the files, and the second program will retrieve the data from the file and then use it and display the student's information as we have seen by respecting some conditions given by the user. Okay, so this is all for this video. So guys, if you liked our videos, if you found our videos very useful, just give us a like and a subscribe, and see you next time. Ciao.